Come on. There we go. All right. So in a straight line selling situation, guys, what you're doing when you're walking somebody through this process, you're taking them, from, dude, why is my Zoom hates me? It's sabotage. You're taking somebody from where they are currently, right over here, to a desired outcome, which in our business, it's generally a better financial situation. Okay. So that's generally a better financial situation. But I don't care what you're selling. Like if you're selling a gym membership, if you're selling hockey sticks, it doesn't matter. You're getting them to do something that's going to help them be better in the situation, guys. So everybody type straight line in the Zoom chat for me really quick. Because when you're going through these two things, guys, you want to be in a straight line. Okay. So I want you to, let's talk about the difference between a recruit appointment and a kitchen table on just this straight line sales. Okay. So what are you doing? Where are they? Not currently a recruit. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Where is the person? Not currently in your business. What's the desired outcome? We want to recruit them and ultimately get them licensed. But on that first day, you want to recruit them. Okay. So what you should do is think about what is the shortest path, Angie, that I can take from not being on the team to being on the team, right? What is the shortest path? And then take that shortest path. The shortest path should be the blue page, right? It's the blue page. It's forming them. It's going through stuff like that. What about a kitchen table? Where are they right now? They have a different life insurance. They are not insured through Primerica, essentially, right? They don't have a financial plan in place. What is the desired outcome? That we put them in a financial plan. Are you following me? So when we're walking them through those, we need to know what the goal is of getting on the meeting, right? Like, because I think a lot of us, we get on meetings and we're like, I'll close something if it makes sense, or I'll do this, I'll do that. And we don't really have a clear-cut goal for what we're trying to accomplish on that appointment, right? Is the goal to set the FNA 100%? On a kitchen table appointment, the goal is 100% to set the FNA. What are my other goals on there? To set up a couple packs, right? Investments, to set up life insurance with them, maybe get them a will. My goal is on a kitchen table appointment to do three things. One, set the FNA. Two, set them up with 2 products. And 3, get some referrals for the new trainee. Okay, so that's my desired outcome. And that's going to put the client in a better situation. If they're protected and they're investing, they're going to be in a better financial situation, right? Y'all would agree with that, correct? So if we're going to get them into a better situation, well, then what's the shortest pathway we can take there? That's the straight line system, right? So we have to make sure we understand the straight line system first, because the straight line system gets you from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time possible without having to go all the way. Like, you're not going from Michigan all the way to California back to Florida to go to Disney World, right? Like, we're going straight from Michigan right down I-75 all the way until we got to get off and go to Orlando. That is literally what we're doing in sales. We are getting on the highway and we're going straight to where we're trying to go without having to take a whole bunch of turns and detours. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. So that is the end of my first topic I wanted to talk to you guys about, is the straight line. So what questions do you guys have about a straight line process, or maybe how it pertains to a recruit call or a kitchen table or anything like that? If you can hit the raise hand button, so we're not just like blowing up the YouTube feed with a bunch of noise, that'd be amazing. And then I'll call on you guys. I'm going to give you a quick answer and I'm going to move on to the next person. If it need a little bit more info, we'll do that. So Elian, go ahead, man.
I was just going to ask if you can repeat the 3 things you say you try to get off of each KT appointment.
Yeah. So each KT appointment, I try to get a life app and a different product, a will, home and auto, something. Like, I try to get 2 things because that increases the likelihood of them sticking. So first I book the FNA. So that is the main goal, is to book a carryback. Okay. Book the FNA. My second goal is to close some type of business, right? Get myself paid, get my trainee paid. Okay. And then my third goal is to get referrals. Does that answer your question?
It did. Thank you much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Caprice, what's up?
So is it still a straight line if that first call you don't close and they want to do a follow-up and
It's
another
still,
follow-up?
so remember the on the FNA, or on the KT, the whole point is to book a follow-up.
But I mean,
So,
on a recruit call.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're still, so the straight line is getting from where they are to get them to close with you. Like, that's the goal. Now, you
Mhm.
might have to do a carry back. You might have to meet back up with them. That's fine. But the goal is the straight line, right? What is the straight line? It's the path of least resistance, not the path of least resistance. It's the least amount of distance between where they are and where they're trying to go. It doesn't mean we close it. It just, the straight line is the most efficient way to tell somebody about what we do so they feel comfortable joining. So if
Okay.
it's a carry back or something like that, that's fine. That doesn't affect the system of a straight line sale is to go in a straight line from where they are to where you want them to be as quickly as you can and as effectively as you can. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions on that? All right, perfect. So next, guys, we're going to talk about kind of the process of that straight line, right? So I'm not going to like rewrite everything here, but we'll just call this that X is the start. And then this X is the close of business. So when I'm starting in this straight line sales, guys, there's going to be a couple different pit stops along the, can you all see my whiteboard? Okay. So there's going to be a couple different pit stops along the way. The first pit stop along the way that we're going to have is, and it's pretty early on, actually. Let me figure out how do I move this? Can I move this? Yeah, I can. Okay. There we go. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to build rapport, or we need to form them. Okay. I don't really care what you're selling. I don't care. You sell goldfish, you can sell Girl Scout cookies. Don't really matter to me what you're selling. In the first thing that you need to do in a sales conversation is build some type of rapport. Everybody type rapport in the Zoom chat real quick. You have to build rapport. Okay. And that starts the second that you get on a sales call, whether it be a phone call, a Zoom call, an in-person appointment. The second that you walk and you get in front of somebody, that's when the rapport building starts. Okay. So the rapport building starts the second that I open up my Zoom screen, right? So here, watch this. Like if my camera's off, right? My camera's off right now, but let's say I just started the Zoom call and my camera pops up, the trainee jumps on, and I'm like over here, not paying any attention. Like I'm immediately losing like street cred, if you will, right? I'm immediately losing rapport because I'm not engaged and focused, right? So we need to be engaged and focused. And when we get to the box where we are now forming somebody, when we're getting them into the business or we're getting them as a client, don't make a mess. Be careful here. Put that in there. Sorry, I got Axel and Freya in the office with me and they're being good, but Axel found a cookie. So, but so when we get to that first box and we're forming somebody, form stands for family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. Okay, now I've done recruiting boot camps and I've done kitchen table boot camps in the past that are on YouTube. They're the 201 classes. You could go find them, but I'm not going to like exactly talk about the specific questions that I ask on those appointments. I'm looking for certain things, but guys, when I'm forming somebody, right? When I'm forming somebody, I want to learn about their family. Okay, are they married? Do they have kids? Are they engaged? Are they single? What's their life like? Right? I want to know a little bit about their background. If I'm recruiting them, do they have a good support system? Is their spouse supportive? Or is their schedule crazy? Like I want to know a little bit about, Crystal, what I'm getting into. Does that make sense? So I want to make sure that I'm asking them what they've got going on. Are you married? Are you single? What do you do for work? Right? O is occupation. What do you do for work? What do you do for fun? Oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. Awesome. Are you in mom's groups? Are you doing, you know what I mean? Like if I'm meeting with a stay-at-home mom, I want to see, are you connected to other moms? If that stay-at-home mom's connected with other moms, that's good. That's a really good thing for your business. It's a good thing for their business too, right? So as I'm going through this, I'm learning about their family, their occupation. What do they do for work? Your recreation. What do you do for fun? Are you into sports? Are you into cooking out? Are you indoor people, outdoor people? Do you like to travel? Right. And whenever they tell me things, I always ask them, hey, well, what's stopping you from doing more of those things? Oh, I love traveling. Awesome. What's stopping you from doing more traveling, Crystal? And I let them tell me 9 times out of 10, guess what it is? Money, money or time. Almost always it's either money or time. Right. So I'm going to walk them through the forming process. And then the M is motivation. Hey, one of my favorite ways to ask the motivation question is, Angie, what are we doing here today? Like you saw a post on Facebook, you got a good job. It sounds like everything's going well. Your kids are busy. You know, it sounds like everything's going good at home. Your job is good. You make good money. Why are we here? And I let them recruit themselves to me. Does that make sense? Like when I ask them what are we doing here? Why are you here? I want to know why they are on my call. If they're on your Zoom call, if they're meeting with you, you have the upper hand. They came to you. You didn't go to them. You might have messaged them first, but they showed up. They're curious. They're interested, right? So that being said, that with the form, with the building rapport and the family, occupation, recreation, motivation, hit the raise hand button if you have any questions about that particular section of the meeting, right? It shouldn't take longer than 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. If you get into like, I'll randomly get in rabbit trail conversations with people, Crystal, and we're like way down in the weeds, and I gotta like revive the I gotta pull it back, right? But most of the time it's 5 minutes. And I literally, when I take my notes, when I'm on a sales call, guys, like on my notebook, I don't have it right now, but if I'm meeting with somebody, it would say FORM. And I would just literally, as I'm talking to somebody, Angie, I would go, okay, F, tell me about your family. Are you married, kids? What's that? You got a bunch of cats at home? What's that like for you? And I let them tell me. And then I got to take my charger back. Sorry. And then after that, well, what do you do for work? And I let them tell me. Do you love doing that? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? What would you change if you could? Do you like your boss? Do you like your hours? Are you happy with your pay? Like those are all different questions that you could ask to drive in deeper into that conversation. Okay. And then recreation, Amber, what do you do for fun? Like you work at the hospital. Do you go to the hospital for fun or do you do other things? Right. I'll make a joke sometimes about it. Or if they've mentioned something, hey, are you just like always perpetually at the movie theaters or do you like doing other stuff? Right. And I'll just kind of just talk to them. Right. And then motivation. What are we doing here? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to learn? Karen, what's up? You got a question? She's frozen. She got eat. Whoa. Hello. You're inside of a blender.
Can you hear me?
Nope.
I'm inside the car.
No, you're inside of a blender is where
Okay,
you're at.
never mind.
Type it in the Zoom
Okay,
chat.
I'll
Type it in the Zoom chat. Type your question in the Zoom chat. Does anybody else have a question while we're waiting for that question to get typed in the Zoom chat? When while I'm waiting for her to type that up, what I'll say is I am looking for places and ways I can connect to them on those appointments. In that 5-minute section, I want them to tell me about how they have 74 dogs and 3 kids and they played football and this, and I'm looking for any connection points that I can make with them where I can relate to them. Does that make sense? So Karen, I'll come back to that in just a second. I'll let Josh ask his question, then I'll answer that one. Go ahead, Josh.
What are some other questions that are good for digging up those pain points on an appointment, like when you're trying to find your leverage?
Yeah, so I will specifically talk about like recruiting. So like on recruiting appointments, like one of the things I'll ask them, like especially around their job, hey, what are some things that you love about it? And I'll let them tell me some things that they really like. And I'll say, hey, not every job is perfect. So, Josh, what are some things that you don't love? Right? If you could change it, what would you change? Are you happy with the hours? Are you happy with your pay? Did you get a raise this year? What's your next raise going to look like? What would it take for you to double your income? Just little questions like that, where you're just trying to see where their mindset is. Like the other day, I got a recruit call with yesterday. We're supposed to have a carryback last night and they ghosted me. That happens to me too, guys, not just you, I promise. But I ran the appointment. It was doing great. I went to high school with this kid. He was actually a pretty good friend of mine. He lived right next to one of my best friends, so I hung out with him a lot. He was like, yeah, I like my job. I have good hours. It's a good job. Like, I don't not like it at all. I was like, are you going to do it forever? He's like, definitely not. I was like, okay, so then what's your plan for getting out of it? He's like, well, nothing. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna help you put that plan in place, right? And I showed him everything. Anyway, he didn't come back. It is what it is. It's fine. And maybe he didn't even read any of the messages, so who knows what happened. But I'll follow back up with him. But at the end of the day, I don't care. If he doesn't join, that's fine. There's 330 other million people in the country. I'll find somebody else. It's okay. So Karen said, Josh, did that answer your question before I move on? Was that helpful?
That made my day.
Cool. One of the other things I'll ask people is if when I'm in the recreation part, they're like, oh yeah, we love traveling, we love doing this. Hey, what's stopping you from doing more of that? Where do you want to go? Where's the one place what's your bucket list trip? If money wasn't an object, where would you get them to dream a little bit? You want to kind of elevate their state of mind, right? Most people, when they get on these recruit calls, guys, let's just be honest, they're not in a super great spot because they're looking for extra income. They're probably pretty tight financially. They're looking for additional cash. So they probably haven't traveled. When was your last vacation? Right? There's a good one. When was your last vacation? Oh, you live in Michigan? Let me guess. You went to Lake Michigan. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, when was the last time you went out of the country or out of the Midwest or out of the state? Like, when was the last time you took your family to Disney? When was the last time you went to a Lions game with your kids because you could? Like, these different things. And Josh, to answer your question, it's going to be a little bit different for each person. If somebody's like super into like Lord of the Rings and they only read books all the time and they never travel or do anything else, that's, hey, when was the last time you went to like Harry Potter World in Florida, right? Is that something you'd want? Like, I'm just trying to find the things that they might want to do and try to relate to them. And hey, what would it take for you to get there? Right? You got to get them to see the gap. Like, your job, I'll draw a picture for you in a second, but your job as a salesperson is to widen the gap of reality as far as you possibly can. Where are they? What do they want? That most people think they're like right next to each other. Like, most people start Primerica, right? And they're like, all right, Dan, like, I'm gonna be $100,000 earner. They think it's like one day away. Like, it's not. Like, you have to freaking work for it. And our job is, as salespeople, is to separate those two things as far as possible from their job, right? Hey, your goal at your job is to become financially independent, be able to survive, retire, spend all the time in the world with your kids, have your dream house and travel. Cool. That's here. A 50-cent an hour raise is not going to do that for you, right? And our job is to drive a wedge in those two things and get them as far away from each other as they possibly can. If you do a good job doing that, of separating those two things, you could recruit anyone. Anyone. I really believe you could recruit anybody into Primerica because of the income opportunity. Guys, even like some of these other life insurance companies, I've been digging into comp plans for other companies because I have a lot of, like, I would say regional vice president level people from other companies like asking me, like, what do you do? What is it? Like, and I'm armoring myself in those other comp plans. Dude, like, no comp plan is even remotely close to Primerica, period. Like, the best one is a 5% override. That's horrible. That's horrible. So you got to armor yourself. So then when I talk with them, Josh, well, how many agents would you need to generate $30,000 a month in override at 5%? Oh, well, I need like 700. Cool. Here, you're going to need about 100. Would you want to do 7 times the work, or do you want to come over here and learn how to do the right thing the right way and really build something that's going to pay you and your family? You just got to drive the wedge. Everybody type drive the wedge in the Zoom chat real quick. So Karen's question was, how do you respectfully stop them from talking if they are a talker? How do you respectfully stop somebody from talking if they're a talker? First of all, I will just straight up interrupt them and I will stop them. So if you're a nice person, which, like, I'm a nice person, but I'm a very type A, like, I'm going to control the conversation. If you're not that type of person, you're going to need to be that type of person on some conversations. Otherwise, you're going to get walked all over and you're not going to be able to close anything because you don't control the conversation and you're a doormat in your conversations. I'm not saying that any one of you are that. I'm just saying, like, that's what it's going to feel like if you don't control the conversation. Right? Y'all ever hear the Katy Perry song, like, if you ever feel like a plastic bag living in the wind or whatever the words are. That's what you're going to feel like on your calls. If you're not controlling you're just going to be like a plastic bag breezing in the wind or whatever the words are, right? Like maybe it's Taylor Swift. I don't know who sings it. The point is, don't do that. Control the conversation, right? And guys, controlling the conversation isn't being mean. It's being assertive, right? It's just saying, hey, they're meeting with you for a job. You're not meeting with them to get their life story. Do you see the diff? Like, that's the difference, right? I don't need to know how many times, like how many cats you had when you were growing up that ran away, or how many dogs your family used to, raise chickens, and that's amazing. Like, I don't need to know how many times you butchered the chickens. Like, I just need to know that you have experience doing something. That's all I'm looking for. So when I get what I need, I'm just going on to the next question. And if they just keep talking, I'll be like, hey, Josh, listen, bro, we gotta move on. I don't have all day, dude. I know you don't have all day either, but like, we're gonna go to we're moving on a little bit here, right? And I don't really have to do that very often because I control the conversation from the beginning. And it's using phrases like, yeah, so hold on, let me read what Cassie says. Setting expectations of how long you have. Yes, 100%. If you find yourself getting steamrolled in appointments of just people talking forever, like, get on the call and be like, hey, awesome, Angie, I'm excited to meet with you today. Today we got about 15 to 20 minutes to go through everything. If you have any further questions, I can spend a little bit more time doing that, but we should be done here in about 15 to 20 minutes unless you see value, which I'm sure you will. And then just tell them like, hey, I'm gonna ask you a little bit of questions. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll go from there. And so I get right into the forming at that point. And so if you say something like, hey, I'm going to ask you, I want to get to know you a little bit before we jump right into everything, ask you a few questions. I'll tell you a little bit about me. We'll go back and forth a little bit, and then we'll move on from there. And then that's what I do. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your work. What do you do for fun? What do you do? Why are you here? And then they're going to give me most of those things. And then if there's anything else, I remember when I ran Amber Lord's recruit appointment, like when I recruited Amber, I remember she's like, oh, I used to run a pizza, like I ran a pizza shop. And I was like, tell me a little bit more about that. What'd you do there? Were you the manager? Did you shift lead? Like, I want to learn, like, what skills does she have? She was like, I ran the show. I was like, cool. What that tells me is she's got experience running a business. So now she's just got to learn the process here, and she'll be able to do the same thing. Right. And so, like, you're looking for leadership qualities, Kellyanne, when you're talking to people, you're looking for specific qualities in people. And can I just be open and honest with you guys for a second? Like, our system is built for like below average people to be able to come in here and be successful. Okay. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. Our system is built for below average salespeople to come in here and make $1,000 to $2,000 a month part-time. That is how the system is built. Like, that's what I'm putting in place for you guys right now. So you're like, Dan, I suck at sales. Great. You should still make $1,000 a month part-time. If you follow the system, you will. Okay. Dan, I'm great at sales. Perfect. The leadership, the coaching is for you. Does that make sense? The system is built for below average people to come in and make some money. The coaching calls, these calls that I run, I'm talking to 3 or 4 of you. You don't know who the 3 or 4 of those people are that I'm really coaching and training right now. Does that make sense? And if you're smart, you're going to say, Dan, that's me. I'm one of the 3 or 4. And if all 21 of you guys are like, all right, he's talking to me, guess what? You will be one of the 3 or 4 really fast. Does that make sense? Are you following me right now? Like, I'm just being honest with you guys. Our system is so freaking simple and duplicatable. You just got to plug in and you got to do what I tell you to do. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. Elliot, unmute yourself really fast. Elliot on Monday started actually doing what I told him to do, what I've been telling him to do for a few months. I love you, Elliot. I'm just going to bust your balls for a minute. But I've been telling Elian to like go do the things that you're supposed to do every day. Elian, tell me about, just in like 30 seconds or less, like, what's the difference of this week versus every other week you've had in the business so far?
Honestly, just having my day to myself, and not feeling stressed about what I have to get done because everything's done before dang everybody else is even up, or also to just feeling relieved and knowing like, man, like when you just ask a question, you just ask for help, people don't mind helping you. So that's really more or less just keeping it in a nutshell.
Yeah, let me ask you a question too. How many appointments? So How many appointments on average prior to this week would you say you've run in 1 week of your own appointments, not of mine, but of your own appointments?
How many more you said?
No, how many appointments per week do you think you were running of your own appointments that you set up, not that somebody gave to you, but your appointments for your business prior to this week?
Prior to this week. So probably about maybe like 2 or 3, to be
Okay.
honest.
How many this week did you get on in your first week of doing it? Where, guys, by the way, like doing this every week compounds on itself. Like your weeks should get to a critical mass of like 30 or 40 appointments a week. Over the course of 90 days, you're going to get to that point. So anyway, Elian, how many do you think you ran this week?
I've ran about 5 or 6, and I've said about 11.
Okay, so he doubled the activity in a week. It's going to continue to grow until he gets to a point of critical mass, guys. The system is designed, what I teach you to do is designed to get you to what I call, and what my coach calls a sweet spot. Everybody type sweet spot in the Zoom chat. This is not exactly about this is not about sales, but this is about your activity level. The idea with a sweet spot is to get you to the point that you're closing some piece of business every single day. Whether it's a recruit, a PLPP, a life app, an investment, whatever, the idea is that your activity is high enough that you're closing something every single day. Okay, so the reason for all of that, and the reason I brought that up, Elian, is because like it just takes you getting to that level to feel like, oh yeah, okay, I'm successful. This is working, right? I'm getting to where I need to go. So Caprice, you had your hand up and then you put your hand down. Do you have a question or are you good?
Okay, so in a nutshell, what exactly did you tell Emily to do different?
To send 20, Elian, tell her what I told you.
He told me to send 25 friend requests and 25 messages before, like when I wake up, lock myself in my room. Don't leave my room until I have those sent out. So now that's what I do. I wake up, do my scripture, prayer, turn on Steers with
25.
People, listen to that, 25 messages, 25 friend requests. But I've actually been doing like 30 to 40 messages and about 50 friend requests
Every day?
every morning before the Bible study call.
Yeah, because so y'all know, like, this is not a sales training right here at all, but y'all know like compounding interest, right? Like y'all know how that works. Like you invest something and over time it grows. You know the term dollar cost averaging. If you don't know that term, look it up. It's a 2-minute video on YouTube explaining to you. It's cheaper to invest per share on average if you invest monthly or weekly at a consistent basis rather than trying to buy it when it's down or sporadically investing. Your business is the same way. I call it people, your dollar people averaging or people cost averaging, right? You're just sending 50 messages a day. And some days you're going to get nothing. Some days you're going to get a freaking ton of messages from people, but I don't care because I did the inputs, right? The market's up, the market's down, doesn't matter. I put $100 a week into my Roth, right? Like who cares? It's up or down, doesn't matter. 30 years from now, I'll be a multimillionaire because of my investments. But I'm going to do it every week right now. I'm going to do it every day, every week. I'm going to send my messages every day, right? And I know some days I'm going to pick up a big chunk of people. I'm going to set 40 appointments, 20 appointments. I'm going to have an explosive day. Some days I'm not going to have anything. Nobody's going to respond. But guess what I did every day? I did my daily inputs, right? Because that's what I can measure. I can't measure the outputs to see if I'm being successful because the outputs are going to vary. You are in control of the inputs, right? So, okay. Any other questions about rapport and forming people before I move on to the next portion?
No, just grateful that you use the inputs as in comparison to dollar cost averaging. That was awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, tell me a better example of that. Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm not trying to say I know everything, but like Ian told me that one time, like 2 years ago, I was like, damn, that's good. Like every day I just do what I need to do. It's just like investing. Like it builds over time. Like there's no way you can like not unhear what I just said, right? So, all right. So the next part of the sales process, right? So in your sales process, you've got where they are. You need to form them. Okay. Now, after you form somebody, you're going to transition. Okay. So it's a quick 1 to 2 sentence transition. Nothing crazy. We're not trying to get them to like make any sort of crazy commitments here or anything like that, but I am going to use a tie down. Okay. So I'm doing a transition and a tie down. Okay. Now I don't necessarily care exactly how you say it. However, I will say that what I'm going to teach you right here will always work. It will always work. It is a big, fat, giant tie down. Everybody type big, fat tie down in the Zoom chat real quick. This is so important, right? Why? Because the tie down gets the yes before the big yes. You're getting a little yes before a big yes with tie downs. Practice with your kids, right? Hey, I need you to go brush your teeth and then we can play a game. Is that fair? Does that make sense? I need you to put your toys away, then we can go to the park. Are you following me? Right? Little things like that. Right? And it's just like you're asking yes questions. Okay. So on a recruit appointment, after I get done forming them, okay, so I build my rapport, I form them. We just talked about that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to ask the recruiting questions also. I'm not going over the recruiting questions right now. If you're on a recruit appointment, you ask the recruiting questions, then you give them a tie down. Okay. So the tie down that you're asking for is on both of these appointments here. So either way, I've built the rapport, I've asked the questions, right? So Crystal, I'm super excited to share this with you. I'm going to share my screen and show you what we do. Is it okay with you if I share my screen really quick and go over everything? And she's going to say yes. Every freaking time she's going to say yes. Okay. And if I'm on a training appointment, before I ask that, so if I'm by myself, okay, which you should try really hard to never be by yourself. So like, even if I'm running an appointment by myself, I'm going to try to put somebody else with me on that appointment. Like I did an orientation yesterday, I had 2 or 3 of you guys on watching. So you're always going to want to have people with you. So, but if you are end up being by yourself, you don't need to say these 3 things. Okay. But if you are by yourself, if you are by yourself, you don't need to say these 3 things because you're not training anybody. Okay. If you are training somebody, before you say, hey, I'm going to share my screen and show you what we do. Is that fair? Before you say that, you're going to say, hey, so Cassie, I got 3 main things that we're doing here today. Okay. Number 1, I'm training Angie. She needs to see the process. She needs to walk through what we're doing. She's going to see me go through everything. Okay. Is that fair? She's going to say yes. Right. So I'm getting a tie down after each one of these 4. This is also why it's important to have a trainee with you, because you're going to get 4 big yeses right here. Okay, you're getting like yes momentum like crazy right now on these 4 questions. Okay, so I don't care if John, you set an appointment and it's your own appointment. You bring somebody else from the team to watch your appointment. If you're running our system, if you're trying to do it all Wild West style, not doing like what I'm telling you to do on your appointments and running your own thing, do not offer to take our people on your calls. Okay, if you're running the system that I teach, if you're by yourself, freaking take somebody with you and teach them, whether cross line, sideline, whatever. Why? Because it actually gives you a lot of, first of all, it gives you credibility. You're training somebody, right? You're not just some random Joe Schmo off the street that's just on a Zoom call. Like you got a trainee with you. Like, so Crystal, you get on your first appointment, you're talking to Cassie. Hey, Cassie, this is one of our trainees, Lydia. Lydia is going to come with us on the call. Okay. Lydia is just going to be muted and she's going to be taking notes. You might not know Lydia at all. You might just met her. It might be the first time you meet her, but you're going to train her because you're ready to train people, right? Your field trainer has said, hey, yes, you can go do your own appointments. Bring somebody with you and let them watch the good, the bad, the ugly, right? You do it good. Awesome. They're going to be able to tell you like, hey, you forgot this, right? They're going to be able to help you if they're following and studying the system, which it's not a hard system. It's a very 1-page presentation for everything. So it's not hard, right? So they should know the system if you're bringing them with you. Okay. Now, so let's say I'm training Crystal and I'm meeting with Cassie, right? So Crystal's my trainee. I'm meeting with Cassie. So Cassie, the first thing that we're doing today, I'm training Crystal. So we're going to go through everything. Crystal's going to be taking notes. I need her to see what we're doing. Okay. Is that fair? So yes, that's fair. Awesome. The second thing, Cassie, if you see value in what we're doing today, and you could utilize our services or you decide you want to do business with us, either way, that's awesome. And so Cassie, just keep an open mind to maybe working with us in some capacity as we're going through this. Is that fair? Awesome. And then the third thing, and you can ask these your own way, but the point is, I'll give you each one in a second, but you should be asking all 3 of these questions. The last thing, Cassie, as we're going through this, I'm going to be asking at the end if you see value in this. Would you be willing to give some referrals of people that you might think see value in this as well, right? And if you're with a trainee, like if you're with a trainee that, like if Crystal set up the appointment and I didn't just bring her with me, like Crystal knows Cassie from school or whatever. So, you know, Cassie, if you see value, I'm going to ask you for some referrals, and those are going to go to Crystal. They're to help her build her business. Okay. Would it be okay with you if I asked you for a couple referrals at the end if you see value in what we're doing and you think it would be beneficial? Yes, awesome. Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen and show you what we're doing. All right, sound good? Good, awesome. And then I'm right into the presentation. And as I go through the presentation, guys, so that's the transition. Actually, before I get into the presentation, we'll go. I'm not going to teach you the presentation, just a couple things about it. But so the first question you're asking, or you're telling them, is I'm training somebody. Okay, how you say it, I don't care. But something along the lines of, hey, you know, Angie, this is Kellyanne. She's with me on the training. I'm walking her through this. She's taking notes. She's going to be learning everything. Okay. So you're training somebody. That's number one. Number two is, you know, value. If they see value, you want to tell them it's okay if they want to move forward and work with you. You know, hey, yes, we're here to train Crystal, but at the end of the day, if you see value, you can save a bunch of money around the house, or you see a way you can make extra money from home. Wouldn't it make sense that you at least looked into it? Yeah, it would. Okay, great. That's the second one. If you're saying if you know if you see value in moving forward, feel free to do so. That's essentially what you're saying. Okay. Now you need to figure out a way to say it that makes sense for you. Okay. Maybe the way I'm saying it doesn't sound right to you. Actually write down what you think you should say and freaking say it out loud and get used to saying it. So when you get on appointments, it's not the first time you say something. Right? Like practice this. Like imagine, guys, like imagine like a lot of you guys are in Michigan, right? So imagine you go to a Lions game. That's like the first game of the season, right? They're bad. Never mind. Not the Lions. Let's go to a Patriots game. Okay. So you go to a Patriots game and you show up and everybody, they say, you know, set, go or hut or whatever. The ball gets snapped and everybody's just going in freaking different directions. They never practiced. That's probably what some of you feel like on your appointments because you don't practice them. You set 2 appointments, 3 appointments a week, and you just get on those, but you're not spending any time drilling the skill of the sales process of the sales appointment, which, by the way, only takes you 10 minutes, right? So we're not spending 10 minutes a day to get better at our craft, and we think that we should somehow end up in the freaking Super Bowl, but we won't even go to practice. Does that make sense? Like you've got to get that out of your head. Like you got to practice. And if you're like, Kelly, I'm going to pick on you, Kellyanne, I'm going to pick on you for a second because I saw earlier, so I've never been good at sales. You probably just haven't practiced it a lot. Right? Like if you practice it more, you're going to get better, right? And you're not going to be a professional salesperson in a month. It's going to take you time. But you can be better tomorrow than you were today by practicing for 10 or 15 minutes with your trainer. And then you can be better on Sunday or Monday than you were yesterday or tomorrow. Why? Because you practice with your trainer, right, guys? You go to practice to get better, right? You go and you meet with your trainer to get better. You get on these calls to get better, right? So when I'm going through that transition, I'm asking questions, I'm tying them down. Number one, I'm training somebody. Number two, if you see value and move forward. Number three, I'm setting the stage for a good referral source. Okay, hey, Elliot, if you see value, even if this isn't for you, you're like, dude, I'm not interested at all, but you see value, I'm going to ask you for some referrals. All right, awesome. I'm going to share my screen, show you what we do. If you think, and here's one thing I love to do to take the pressure off, because like I set 3 straightforward questions, Angie, where I'm like, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. So, hey, I'm going to share my screen. If at any point you think this is stupid after 5 minutes or so, just let me know. I'll go away forever. You'll never have to talk to me again. Is that fair? You're like relieving the pressure valve, right? It's like a slow cooker. You push the button and you let all the steam out for a second so it doesn't blow up in your house. Okay, so now I'm back on my presentation, right? I'm ready to rock. Okay, so now I'm back in the presentation and I'm going to go over that in just a second. So on the transition, does anybody have any specific questions in that transition period? The 4 questions that I just asked to go from forming somebody to the actual sales presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Just real quick, can you run those back? Just real quick.
The questions? Yeah, okay. So Angie, can you unmute yourself? Is it quietish around you? No? Okay.
Is that
no.
okay? Is it too loud?
No, you're good. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay.
So I just formed Angie. I got to know her, everything like that, right? So hey, Angie. So what we're gonna do? There's three things I need you to know. First off, I'm training Crystal right now.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm training Crystal, so she's gonna be here taking notes. Obviously, you know Crystal from high school, whatever. She set this up. You know that she's here, but I'm training her, so I'm gonna be doing most of the talking. Is that fair?
yes,
Cool. The second thing, Angie, I'm going to show you a bunch of financial concepts. I'm going to show you how you can make a little bit of money if you decided you wanted to work with us. And if you see value in this and there's something you wanted to take advantage of, we'd love to help you with that today if you see value. Okay.
okay,
Awesome. And the third thing is the main reason we're here actually is to teach you what Crystal is doing so you could send her referrals.
okay,
And at the end of the day, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a ton of value. And if you see that this is valuable, I'm going to ask you for a few referrals for Crystal. Is that fair?
yes,
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and I'll show you what we're doing. Angie, if you think it's stupid after 5 minutes, let me know. I'll go away forever. Fair enough?
fair, okay.
Awesome. How long did that take? Who timed it? Nobody. It took like 45 seconds to get through all 4 of those questions. Guess what? I didn't have to look at my notes. I didn't have to pull up a slideshow to like figure it out. I didn't have to listen to a SoundCloud and like figure out what I was supposed to say next. Why? Because I practiced that a lot. I do it a lot, right? So I know the questions. John said 53 seconds actually. So in the beginning, guys, while you're learning this, you're going to need to write them down. And you're going to maybe need to like glance at them so you remember the questions. Do it 3 or 4 times a day for a week and you won't need to look at it anymore. It's just like that stupid song. Like, every song that comes on the radio station that you listen to every single day. Why don't you know how to set appointments yet? Why don't you know the kitchen table? Why don't you know the recruit appointment? Right? Why? Because we don't practice those things. They're not constantly around us because we're so freaking busy listening to the music. Dude, just switch your appointment or switch your music to Primerica audios for a month and watch your income grow. Like how to set appointments, how to close recruits, how to close kitchen tables. If that's all you listen to for the next 30 days, I guarantee you'll start getting, I promise you'll start getting on appointments, right? Or if you're like, Dan, I don't have anybody to talk to, start listening to How to Prospect, Out and About Prospecting by Shane Rudman. I'll send you the audio in the Telegram later. Somebody remind me because I'll definitely forget, but I'll put it in the Telegram and listen to it and learn how to talk to people. Okay. So after the transition, does anyone else have any questions about the transition before I move on? Going once.
I prospected Starbucks yesterday when I went and got Starbucks. So I'm in Iowa and I told them, hey, you guys, might know, but I'm visiting from Tampa. I'm here for a wedding and I'm looking to, open up an office here. I see great potential. Do you know anybody that is looking for like a part-time job, make some extra money on the side? So I wrote my name and my number down and for all of the girls that work at Starbucks. So, and I got the lady at the airport. So I just talked to everybody.
That's good. That's good. Any questions on the transition for the sales process, guys, when you're on an appointment? All right, perfect. So then after I transition, guys, I get into the presentation, right? Now the presentation is a little teeny bit different. Okay. So I'm not going to give you, I'm not going to go over a presentation right now, but when you're giving a presentation, you are talking to them, not at them. Everybody type to, not at in the Zoom chat. If you are talking at somebody, you're going to scare them away. They're going to be bored. They're not engaged. I'm asking questions after like every point, every question I make, right? On the blue page, which you all should be using, that I do my presentations with. Hey, so we're the largest financial services company, independent financial services company in the country. If I were to say to you, like a good neighbor, what would you say? I'm bringing them back into the conversation, right? I'm talking, I'm pushing. Does that make sense? I'm talking, Angie, I'm pushing you away when I talk. And then I ask you a question and I pull you back in, right? Oh, we're publicly traded. We're on the stock market. Have you ever heard of the stock exchange before? Who hasn't heard of the freaking stock exchange? What am I trying to get her to tell me? Yes, right? I'm trying to get her to say yes. So have you ever heard of the New York Stock Exchange or Wall Street before? Some people will look at you like you're an idiot, but it's fine. Yes, you have. Okay, great. And then cool, we're publicly traded. We've been around since 1977, right? And I just go through these things. I don't have it in front of me, but you get the point. So you're getting a bunch of yes questions, and then you're going to get to about the company. Josh, I see you. Give me 1 second. You're going to get to about the company, right? Then from there, you transition to the closing questions, which I'm going to go over in just a second. So Josh, what's up?
How often do you say their name before? Do you just say their name with the tie down, like their
All
first
the
name?
time.
You know, that way, and like
Okay.
it pulls them
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, what's everybody's favorite thing to hear? Their freaking name, right? You'd be in the middle of a grocery store and you just hear like a very faint, like Angie, and you're like, what? Who called my name? Right? You're like, who called my name? Like you're like looking all over the place, like what's happening right now, right? So you do want to say their name a lot. Now, I'm not gonna say like Josh every other word that's coming out of my mouth, right? I don't want to be ridiculous. I'm not going to be annoying, but like I do want to say their name because it pulls them back in, and it also shows them that you actually paid attention to their name when you talk to them, right? How many times do you guys meet somebody and they tell you their name and then 2 seconds later you forget their name? I'm not gonna lie, that happens to me all the time. Like, and so what I do when I meet somebody, I try to get a name association really quick, and then I try to say their name 3 or 4 times in like the first 10 seconds. Why? Just so it ingrains in my head. So Josh, does that answer your question?
Marvelously, thank you.
Just about every, I mean, I'm gonna always try to bring their name in somehow into the conversation. So I don't have like a time, like it's like every other question I put their name in there. It's just like I try to do it in a way that makes sense. Or if I see them like, they're distracted, they're doing something over here while I'm talking, I'll be like, hey, so Josh, what were, and they always look back, right? They always look back at the camera when you say their name. So if you see them being distracted, I say their name a lot more than if they're not distracted. Caprice, what's up?
Would you use I know we use Facebook a lot, but what about LinkedIn to send like messages and stuff?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's outbound messages that you're getting new impressions with new people. That's really the most important thing. I just teach Facebook because I use it. I freaking hate LinkedIn for no reason other than I'm just not very proficient at it. And it's like to be honest with you, it feels like a networking meeting, and those make me want to throw up. I go to them because they're important to meet people, but like at the end of the day, it just feels like everybody on LinkedIn is like, come buy my crap and come join my business and blah, blah. And I just am not about that. I don't like that. I like being on Facebook because, to be honest, most people, it's a statistical fact. People spend more time on Facebook than LinkedIn on average. So I'm going to go to where the most eyeballs are, which is Facebook and Instagram. Now, that's not to say that LinkedIn is a bad place to do it. I know people that build their business exclusively on LinkedIn. So like, it's fine. But the system that we run is not really designed for LinkedIn, like asking people to post your job posts and stuff like that. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying I've tested it on Facebook. Like I know it works on Facebook. Like if you do what I tell you to do on Facebook and you're getting your skills better, like it will work. Like it might not work as big or as fast as it did for me because I already had everything kind of primed and ready for me to start this when I started. But like you start the process and start learning the skills, 100% it'll work. So it's just up to you on like the speed as which you want to do that. So, all right. So after that, I'm going to transition to the closing questions. Okay. And the closing questions, I'm not going to tell you what they are right now because they are already there on the recruit boot camp and the KT boot camp. They're both there. So you should have both of those there. Lydia, I saw you unmuted. Are you good? Do you have a question? You remuted, so I'm going to assume not. If you do have a question, unmute yourself. It's fine. So then I'm going to ask the closing questions. Right before I ask the closing questions, those closing questions are 2 really big tie downs on both the recruit appointment and the KT. You're going to get 2 big yeses, right? So outside of yourself, who currently handles your financial planning? Nobody. So you would agree that having a plan is better than not having a plan? Yes. Outside of yourself, who's better or who handles your financial planning? No one. If we could get back together and do something for you for free, wouldn't it make sense that we took 15 minutes and set you up for retirement, made sure everything was going in the right direction? Yes. Awesome. Tie down, get them to admit that they don't have a plan, tie down again, book the FNA. That's it for the KT. You're good. You've a mission number 1 is accomplished right there, right? Recruit appointment, same thing. I know I said I wasn't going to tell you this, but I'm going to. Just go to the bathroom. You know where it is. Just go. Sorry, Freya's over here doing like a potty dance right next to me. Like, you know where the bathroom is, just go to it. But on the recruit appointment, same thing, right? I know exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. And on the recruit appointment, I'm going to ask them, hey, so Angie, do you see value in what we're doing today? Yes. Do you think this is a beneficial thing that people would need to have and need to learn? Right. Yes, it is. Awesome. Nobody's teaching this. Angie, do you see the importance in what we're doing here? Yes. Okay. How soon do you want to start making an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month from home? Right away. Close the damn IBA. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it's right. It's guys, if you follow the system, it's built for you to be successful. Like I said, below average skill can have success here if they follow the system. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean and negative by saying below average skill. It is what it is. Like, we're all probably below average basketball players, but if I lowered the hoop to 5 feet, we'd probably all be a lot better. That's really what we're trying to do with the sales process, is lower bring the system down to a 5-foot basketball hoop so you can freaking put the ball in the hole. It's that simple. Like, and so you got to understand, right? Yeah, Josh, it's never a, do you want to get started, right? Do you want to join my team? Nobody wants to join your team. And that sounds like an MLM. No, they don't want to join your team. Let's go. We're going to get you started today. Sound good? Yes. Awesome. What questions do you have? And I don't even ask for questions. If they're ready to go, I'm filling out the IBA. I'm not going to cause a problem. So that's the closing questions, right? Then after that, on the recruit appointment, you all know what you need to do to get them through the recruiting process, right? Get them in the IBA, get them into licensing, blah, 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 put them in Telegram, all that stuff. On the KT, we book the FNA, we gather the information about investments, we set the backup appointment, right? What do I mean by that? We set the time we're going to get back together. We need your 401ks, we need your insurance stuff, we need blah, 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 blah. We need your debt statements, etc. We tell them what we need for them, right? Then at the end, on the way out the door, right? It's almost like a, oh crap, I almost forgot about it type of question, right? It's not like, who sells your life insurance? No. And you're like, all right, cool, Angie, who's the referrals for Crystal? And Angie's going to give me some referrals and blah, blah, blah. I'm done with the presentation. Angie, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you hopping on here and helping Crystal out. Thank you for the referrals. I'm excited to meet back with you in a couple weeks. You know, Angie, real quick before we get out of here, I got to ask, who currently handles your life insurance? That's it. I'm not real sure what Axel's doing right there, but everybody say hi to Axel. He's waving at you guys.
Hi, Axel.
Excel.
Hi,
What's up,
Axel.
buddy?
But does
Princess says
that
hello.
does the way that I just closed that life insurance at the end, do you see what we're maybe not doing on our appointments right now? We're not, if you're like, buy life insurance, you need to buy life insurance, who handles it? And you're just aggressive after the life insurance, people are going to have they're going to slowly through your presentation freaking build a wall against closing business with you, because you're asking them question after question after question after question about their life insurance. Don't even freaking bring it up. I mean, maybe when you're gathering information about the FNA of like, okay, do you have any investments? Do you have any this? Do you have any life insurance? Like, but I try not to even ask about life insurance at all, until I get to the very end, after I get the referrals and everything else. Hey, you know, Josh, outside of your work, and before I get out of here, I got to ask, outside of your work, who currently handles your life insurance? Why do I ask it that way? Why do I ask it that way? Number one, I'm going to take it outside of your job, right? Outside of your job, I'm taking away the group life objection right away. Oh, I just have it through work. Oh, so you don't have any life insurance at all? Right? And then they're going to tell me one of the 4 things outside of group life insurance, and I just go over it. And then I close. And I'm going to close 75 to 80% of the people that I get. If I book an FNA with you, there's like a 75% chance that I'm closing life insurance, like on the call right there. Why? Because I follow the system. I ask the right questions. Josh, what's up, man?
I want to be like, Dan, you don't have any life insurance?
Yeah, that's the best. Did you have a question about
No, you answered it. You answered it right away when you did that.
Perfect. So guys, that's all I got for you this morning. I hope that you got some value there. I hope that was helpful. If you're like, okay, I understand the process now, right? Of taking them from start to finish. If you understand the process, now you need to go back and you need to watch, which by the way, we're starting over again tomorrow. All of our 101 classes. You need to go back and you need to watch the 201 of the system of the kitchen table and the recruit appointment. Because now that you know like how to go through the sales process with somebody, you need to learn the actual presentation, which is not hard, but you need to learn the presentation. Okay. So guys, hey, listen, tomorrow night we have 101, 201, and we have 301. No, we didn't finish the drawing. I'll finish the drawing for you. Ready? Hang on. Cassie with your green brain.
That's why he's number one in the office.
Right, ready? See, transition to tie down and then close. There you go. There's actually a presentation in there too, but
That's awesome.
so you here, right here, you can put a little presentation. All right, I'll draw you a little box. It's a present. But that's your presentation box. Okay, so you tie down, you give a 5-minute presentation, and then you ask for the close at the end. Like, but that's literally it. And here's the thing. What do you get on sales appointments sometimes? Josh,
Objections.
objections, right?
Oh,
Here's an objection, right? Well, my cat has herpes, so I don't know if you should share your screen right now. It might not be safe. Great. Well, your cat might have herpes, but I've got the herpes vaccine, so I'm good. I'm going to bring it right back to the straight line, and I'm going right back into what I was doing before. Right? An objection is just testing you to see how professional you are. Are you a professional or are you not a professional? Right? They're like, oh, I've heard of Primerica before. Right? I've heard of Primerica before. Cool. I'm going to address it. What do you know? Oh, I've just heard of it. Okay, great. I'm going right back to the line. Right? Maybe their cousin never got licensed, right? Never got licensed, blah, 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 whatever. There's another issue. And there's just all these different things. And then you find out all of a sudden, oh, their cousin had a felony. That's why they couldn't get a license. And that's why they never got paid. So, I mean, even if we could show you something better, would you be interested in doing that, right? Cool. And then we're right back on the line. Oh, it's an MLM. Right? Oh, cool. It's an MLM. I appreciate that, Kellyanne. Thanks for saying that. What makes you think that it's an MLM? And then let them tell you what they think it is. Oh, well, isn't it like when the guy at the top makes all the money and blah? I'm like, so you mean like your job? Like where your boss makes more than you do and you got to go and you got to ask for permission? Like, oh, no, it's like when you got to recruit people. You don't have to recruit people. You can, you don't need to. Cool. Well, I mean, Kellyanne, if I could show you how it's not an MLM and make it so you didn't have to recruit anybody, wouldn't it make sense for you to learn how to make a couple $1,000s a month part-time from home? Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you everything else. I'm going to give you the presentation. Guys, all these little objections, everything that you're going to hear is an objection. Some are going to take you like to another dimension, and you just got to be good at bringing it right back in, right? Some people are going to really try to test. They're really going to try to test your resolve, and you just got to pull them right back to the line.
you got to be swifty like Rick and Morty.
That's right. All right, guys. I hope you all got value out of this. I hope this was helpful. If y'all got any questions about this, bring it to the call Monday morning. We can kind of go over some of this stuff on Monday. But guys, tomorrow night we got 101, 201, and 301. Okay, so Cassie's doing 101. I'll be doing 301. Either Nate Braley or myself will be doing 301, and the other one of us will be doing 201. So it's gonna be awesome, guys. I'm super excited for that. Listen, like we had a couple really big months, and our meeting attendance was growing. And now our meeting attendance has dropped back off because we've stopped paying attention to it as much as we need to be. When you recruit somebody, they have to like, it's like, hey, look, like you got to get on these meetings. Like this is where you're going to learn everything. Guys, if you have people currently right now that are not on this meeting right at this moment in time that should be on this call, you do not call them and like berate them for not being on. You just call them and hey, how are you? What's going on? Is everything okay? Yes, everything. Hey, okay, great. Hey, don't forget we have trainings on Saturday mornings at 9:30. Like it was super impactful. I'm going to send you the recording from today, but we're going to catch you live next week. Okay. And guys, like it's team maintenance. You got to check in with people. Okay. All right, guys. I love you guys. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to y'all later. See ya.